What's going on, guys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I'm going to go over the top 7 game settings features that you probably didn't know about that is new to FIFA 22. We're going to be talking about player rotation, how you can use it to switch the exact player you want to when you're defending. We're going to talk about the benefits of the co-op camera angle to prevent the through ball meta and to see more of the pitch. So if you want to improve over time, you can see everything that's going on. The player name indicator, how to reduce lag, etc, etc. So let's go straight into this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is lag, so gameplay lag. Now go over to your main menu, go over to customize and go over to online settings. Now for some reason, some people's matchmaking settings, approximate location matchmaking is on no. I don't know why people turn this to off. You want to turn this one on. The reason why it uses your IP, which is basically your internet location, I suppose you can say. And what it does is then it finds someone that's closer to you in head-to-head modes. Now, this is just for head-to-head. I know some people are playing different game modes, such as offline only. But if you want to get the best possible connection, you definitely want this to be on. So for some reason it's on off by default, by no. Make sure it's selected to yes. The second thing we're going to talk about is actually controller settings. Now, in particular, we're going to be talking about the new feature, the player rotation feature. Now the player rotation, make sure icon switching is turned on. Now you can use any other form of right stick switching that you want, but the player rotation is a new feature. And basically when you're defending, let's say for example sometimes you try to right stick to a player and it always goes to the wrong player, but if you press the right analog stick inwards, basically you activate the player rotation feature. Now what that means is then you can move your right analog stick either up, left, down or right, and you can choose the exact player that you want. Why is this beneficial? Let's say for example if you're getting counter attack, like let's say for example in this situation, sometimes the game might mess me up and switch to the wrong player, and if I press the R3 button down, I can then switch to whichever player I want to. Over time, you're going to learn from muscle memory who exactly you want to switch to. The benefit is you can just turn this on whenever you want. So you can use normal right stick switching as you want to, and then when you want to turn it on, you just press the R3 button down on the controller, and then you can basically guarantee you're going to pass it. That way, you avoid switching to the wrong player and then conceding, for example, a counter attack. The next thing I want to go over is camera angle. So go into game settings this time, and then you want to go over to camera. So for both single player and multiplayer, mainly single player of course, I use the co-op camera angle. Now the reason why is a lot of people, they use the default EA camera angle. Now I would highly recommend not using that at all. If you're on the PS4 version, you won't even get the option to use the EA game cam. Don't use any of those. Use co-op. The reason why is co-op, you can see most of the pitch. So as you can see in this clip over here with telebroadcast, you can't see the entire pitch in this situation, whereas for example in co-op you can see the entire pitch. Now why this is important, especially if you're new to the game and you're trying to get better at the game, high level players, they focus on the radar at the bottom. So even myself, I focus on the radar, but I still use the co-op camera angle. Why? It's because let's say for example there's an L1 triangle or through ball going in behind me. No, that's the meta right now. And if you can see the entire pitch, you know exactly who you can switch to. So you know if you right stick switch, you can see every single person on a switch, and that's why it's so beneficial and imperative to have the co-op camera angle. People say it's hard to dribble. Yes, in a short time it's hard to dribble. But realistically, if you go towards co-op, you can see the entire pitch. Everyone's going to be parking the bus now, playing narrow. Always see the opposite person, because sometimes you're not looking at the radar, you're not focusing on the radar because you're focusing on the game. So make sure you turn the camera angle to co-op. Me personally, I use the camera height of 20. I'd recommend that for every single person, and I use the zoom to be 0. If you find that the co-op is too far away, you can go to 10, but I wouldn't go any higher. I would say 20 height and 10 zoom is really, really good. If you want to see even more of the pitch, if you're more of a tactical mindset, you like to pass the ball around, then I would say definitely go for the zoom to be 0. The next thing I want to go over again is in-game settings, but this time we are going to go over to the visuals, and we're going to change this to player name indicator. Now this is something that I released in the FIFA School Series, but I realized I'll briefly talk about it now. If you want to see, by the way, more videos in depth going through every one of these settings, everything you need to know about FIFA, patreon.com/NealGuides. FIFA tutorials out there if you want to get better at FIFA. Of course, money back guarantee if you don't get better after 1 month. That's a NealGuides guarantee. But player name indicator is important to have this on. People have this normally on player name bar, or they have it on player number or online ID. Now you don't want that. The reason why you want player name indicators, let's say for example your opponent has the ball. Sometimes you don't know what foot they are. So let's say inside the box, if Neymar has the ball, he's got a 5-star weak foot. If you've got the co-op cam angle, you're not concentrating too much. Sometimes you're not going to look at the bottom left or right to see the player player name. So the benefit of the player name indicator above the player's name, when they have the ball possession, you can see which player is selected. So sometimes you're playing against PSG, if you're far away, you can't see if Neymar's being selected or if Mbappe is being selected. With the name above the head, you know that Mbappe is right-footed, and therefore it's easier for you to react when you're defending. It's the same way, for example, if you give, let's say, Ronaldo a ball, you know that Ronaldo is right-footed, you're more likely going to push him on your left-hand side. Now, maybe you'll know who Ronaldo is, but sometimes two players like Ben Yedder and maybe someone else, you might not know who the difference is between them because you're too far away from the screen and they look very, very similar or of the similar height. So make sure the player name indicator, that way you know who has the ball. It's imperative for defending, and I'd say this is something that's very much underlooked. That's important to have. Forget your player name. Why do you want to see your online ID when you can see the player that's been selected? Now, the next one I'll talk about is your monitor itself. Now, I play on a gaming monitor. Now, it's up to you. If you play on the TV, you're going to have more input lag. That is just by default. What I'd recommend to you is whatever you're on your PC, you're going to have a setting, or if you're on a monitor, make sure you have the gaming mode on. That reduces your input lag. So make sure you have the gaming mode on your monitor. Everyone always buys the monitor, but they forget to activate the gaming mode. So it's very, very important you have that on. The next thing I want to talk about is controller settings, and we're going to go over time shooting. Now, time shooting again is one that last year it wasn't, well, so 19 it was very effective, 20 it was nerfed a little bit, but then it was still effective, and 21 it wasn't really needed. You didn't need to use it. I would recommend leaving this on because this year the finesse shot meta outside the box is the most important thing so far up until the next patch. So it's important you leave this on because you're going to realize that even inside the box, you're going to miss a lot of 1v1s. That's just how finishing is. People keep saying there's the meta to use low drivens or whatever. From my testing, I have not yet found any consistent effective shooting method. Shooting has gone worse from last year, in my opinion, inside the box, especially with AI defending. So my best advice is turn time shooting on. That way at least you can be able to green time your shots. Start learning to green time. If not, very worst case scenario, time it late. That way you hit it gray, and that way your green time shot doesn't get effective. Check out my video for a long shot video coming very, very soon on my channel. And then one of the last few things I want to talk about is the competitive settings. Now, this is new. If you watch my video on controller settings, you might have seen this already. If you haven't watched my controller settings video, go to that where I tell you all the controller settings and I explain them. By default, on online game modes such as Rivals and Foot Champions, this is going to be off. All these features, so contextual agile dribbling, auto shots, and jockeying is now changed to assisted. This is important that you understand that this has changed. So a lot of you that if you get the game today, you're going to be like, whoa, 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 what's going on? I'm trying to defend, the guys is running away. So make sure you understand the changes. From now on, biggest jockeying is on manual. You no longer stick to the player. So please use your left analog stick to control the speed of your run and jockey. Everyone always uses the jockey with the L2 button, even pros included. In my opinion, they're using it the wrong way. You should be using the run and jockey the entire time and using your left analog stick to dictate the speed, not switching between them. You're actually reducing reaction time, and you're actually making it harder for you to react. Because someone goes from agile dribbling to fast paced, it's harder for you to then go back to the sprint button again. So you should be holding L2, R2 the entire time and barely touch the left analog stick to move slightly to the left. So think of your left analog stick like the gas and the steering wheel at the same time, and think of the game just braking for you automatically. So always remember the left analog stick for movements. And the last thing I'll talk about is well, two final things. It's the number one is if you're on PS5, you're going to have a feature at the bottom. Now, I'm doing this on PS4 deliberately. On PS5, you're going to see something called enhanced controller settings. Turn that on off because your controller starts to vibrate, locking on the triggers, and it's very hard to press the triggers. So you want that to be on off. But one other new feature this year that everyone always forgets about is the clearance assistance. Basically, if you press directional, if you press the circle button, the game will just basically take into, oh, sorry, square, that's a lob clearance if I say. The game will have a direction to it. So if you aim to the bottom left and you press circle, the ball will go to your player towards the bottom. If you have it on classic, it will just go completely full out backwards. Now, it's up to you which one you want it on. I would say use it on directional because there's a good chance you're going to have a strike on stay forward. So I would say leave it on directional, but you can use either one that you want. But that's something I just wanted to make sure that people understood that, because people kept thinking that is that when you're pressing, when you're tackling the ball, it's a rebound. No, it's not a rebound. It's only when you're clearing the ball. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a top 5, well, I suppose you could say top 7 now, settings for you to use and implement into your game. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy and don't forget to change these settings. Thanks for watching. Take it easy and I'll catch you next time.